What's going on, everybody? I am back with a new interview with somebody for once that I don't actually know. So we're going to get to know him today and pretend that we haven't talked for the last 10 minutes about random crap.
Extremely random.
It was extremely random crap, like things that I probably wouldn't want to record. Actually, I would love to talk about, but this is a guitar channel, a metal channel, a rock channel, so we can't talk about all that other stuff. Mind you, sometimes we do anyway. Today, I present to you Kyle Bull. He's one of the more upcoming guys. He's been around on YouTube and growing quite fast around here. He's got a really sick amp collection and been making waves out here in this little guitar community. And I think the waves are going to get a little bit bigger over time. Kyle, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing fine for it is what it is around here. Like, you know, lockdown, can't really go out. So this is my Saturday night, hanging out with you. I mean, it could be a lot worse, right?
It could be a lot better too.
It could be a lot better too. I mean, the thing is that you're stuck with me. So, I mean,
hey, I'm good with that. I agreed to it.
You did. And I'd like to thank you for doing such a thing, man. So what's going on in the world of Kyle Bull?
Oh, too much, honestly. I'm having trouble keeping up with it lately. So I keep telling everybody it's not a bad problem to have because things are happening really quickly for me, things that I definitely wouldn't have expected. So I'm definitely happy. I'm just trying to figure out how to keep my head above water and maintain, you know, a normal life on top of the YouTube channel. So
exactly,
it's not a bad problem to have.
No, it's definitely not a bad problem to have. You just have to make sure that it doesn't become too much of like, you know, work so that you would still enjoy doing what you're doing. Right.
And that's I had a lot of people tell me that because I mean, when I started, I was grinding because I really wanted to get the channel out there, and I was doing like 6 videos a week, like dude, it was nuts, but I was excited and I just really wanted to build the channel as quick as I could and get to a point where I felt like I could relax and kind of go down to 3 or 4 videos a week. And that's exactly where I am right now. And it was totally worth it. There was a point where I was like, all right, this isn't fun. Like, it was really fun to start and then it wasn't fun. But then I think I was just looking into the metrics a little bit too much and kind of getting bummed out at certain things. And I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I'm doing this to have fun, but everything's kind of a challenge to me. So I was trying to work towards getting better and better and better. So things do start to level off after a bit. And once I realize I'm just like, okay, I'm worrying about the wrong things. Like, I should just go back to making videos and connecting with people and have a good time with that. And as soon as I did that, it became fun again. And it's been fun ever since. So
I think we can go down that hole of being on YouTube. Like, you go look how to do YouTube and all the videos are about analytics. You see this bar here and this and that.
Exactly. Yep.
And then you can get caught up in it. And I try not to live there because sometimes no matter what I do, I can't beat a view out of somebody. And then the next video got 20,000 views.
Right. And you didn't do anything different, you know?
Just being myself. I just happened to do something that happened to be searchable or whatnot. I just actually got monetized, like officially, like right here.
Nice.
I actually have the, hey, thanks. I actually have
AdSense.
I have the actual AdSense paper.
Yeah,
I got
it's
the mail.
exciting.
It is pretty cool. But man, like, you were grinding. When did you start? When did you do your first video?
The first video where I was like, hey, I'm going to do a YouTube video and not just upload a random clip of me playing through an amp or something was like middle of November of last year of 2020.
Yeah. No, you're doing really good to get like to 3K. I spent 3 years trying to get to 1,000.
Yeah.
And seriously, like, I actually have a video coming up talking about this where I don't really talk about guitars and stuff, but how some people just shoot ahead, even though like they're putting up maybe the same amount as you. And then sometimes you're the person who shoots ahead. It's weird, but like when you putting out, like you said, 6 videos a week, like the algorithm loves that.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the thing, like they don't care about your health. It's just more like, just pump it out. And that works for some YouTube genres, like people who can react to things. Like some of those reaction videos, you could do like 20 of those in a damn day.
Yeah, exactly. They're not hard to put together,
no.
You know?
And I mean, every so often I'll make like a side content video like that. But I mean, I don't want that to be my main thing. Like, let's look at reverb. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But it's not the same as like putting all that effort into like, you know, a guitar or something like that.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, it's incredibly difficult. So what do you think is the most challenging thing of doing this so far?
Video editing.
Okay, so what do you use the video edit with?
I use a free program called Shotcut, honestly. It's worked for me. I was using something else called Open something that I was really liking at first, and I was kind of getting the hang of it, like really starting to become efficient at it. And then I got a new camera, and the new camera, the video format on the Sony's is like the AXV. I don't even remember what it is, but it's just a higher quality format on those cameras. And that program just completely shit the bed anytime I would try to edit anything with that video format. Like I did a whole rig rundown with my other guitarist that I actually thought came out really cool. And I spent hours editing it, and then I went to export it, and I tried to export it for literally like 3 weeks, and it will not export no matter what. So yeah. So anyways, yeah, I mean, the video editing and the technology stuff really overall has been the biggest challenge to me, especially because I don't have a lot of time to edit. And I don't have a lot of time to play around with things and figure things out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I talk to a bunch of other YouTube guys, and they're like, hey, your format is great, which to me is awesome, because I tell them my format was born out of necessity. It was literally just like, I got to figure out a way that I can do a video in a very short amount of time and make it entertaining and make it informative, but also be able to, set it up, film it, and be done with it after like 30 minutes. So that's the whole reason my format is the way it is, because I have a 30-minute window in my lunch break from work every day that I film my videos on. So.
Oh, wow, man. Yeah, it is a challenge. I can tell you, like, a lot of the time for me has gone into editing too. And just like what you said is like those cameras and stuff. Now, when I was using a DSLR, when I finally figured out camera settings and stuff, and when I said I wanted to do this again, I went and bought Premiere Pro.
Okay.
I thought, that's the best one. I mean, there's other good ones. I know there's DaVinci Resolve, and if you're on Mac, you can use not Logic. It's called Final Cut Pro. That's it.
Yep.
And I heard that's amazing, but I'm a Windows guy, so I end up using Premiere Pro, and that just, once I learned the camera settings and got that, like my first actual video when I came back was like, boom, it was a music video, and like it was like amazing. I'm like, holy crap, how did we do this good? And it's just like, man, nothing I ever had looked that awesome ever in my life, because I didn't know. The problem with me, and I don't know about you, I don't think before doing. It's just like, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. And then something happens to work, and then I'm like, well, I got to run with this, or I got to do something.
Right.
Like for me, YouTube was not a planned thing. Like, I'm going to have a channel. I had my first video up in like 2007, and then I had like stint where I did it, and then I had a while where I didn't. And when I was finally in the place to do it again, I did. So I bought Premiere Pro, and I had a DSLR. It was great. And the video edits were pretty fast on the old 960 video card. Like, one of the things with doing YouTube, like, even if doesn't matter what genre it is, unless it's just unedited, just camera, audio, cell phone videos, or webcam, you don't realize that you're going to end up learning all these other skills, like you said, video editing.
Yeah.
And now I have all this knowledge on how Premiere Pro works and processes things and different things you can do. It's incredibly powerful. And then when I got my mirrorless camera, which I'm not using right now, but when I got that, you realize, like, especially when you start filming in 4K, look out. You need some serious power. You need a serious program. You need a serious like GPU. You need a serious CPU. Mm-hmm. I'm not working with a serious GPU yet, because we were just talking like about the shortages of those right now.
Unfortunately, right.
It's a grind. I mean, I've tried to edit by proxy. That didn't work for me. I should try it again on my new build here.
Are you still using a 960 video card?
I am. I just got all like the upgraded everything else. I mean, I can see things in 4K and stuff.
Yeah. But it probably struggles.
This machine, even my old one for recording music was great. But this one, like for recording, like I can run neural DSP, anything I want really. Like it's nothing. I have a 5600X Ryzen processor.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, they're another one that's hard to get to, and there was actually a legit shipment one day, and I was like claimed, and I beat it to town so quick to get that. I had a thing happen. Thank you. That's just like, holy crap! Like, I've got it. This is amazing. So I bought the rest of the parts, and it's like I had like some of these parts for a number of months. I started building around. Well, I started collecting around Cyber Monday, I guess it was last year. Okay. And then it was like I bought my Meshify S2 case. It was time for new stuff. I had a case from like 2008. And then after all that, I'm still struggling with this video editing thing, but it's mostly just the playback. And I'm actually rendering with CPU only.
Okay.
And if you start doing fancy effects and stuff, I know you said you don't have a lot of time to do a lot of testing, but some effects only work with GPU rendering in the export.
Yeah.
And I learned that the hard way. I had this playthrough, like a live playthrough, had this really cool effect. I'm like, and it came up in my edit. It says, this requires GPU rendering. I was like, what? That looks terrible. I was so bummed when I saw that and stuff. But yeah, no, video editing, that's something I actually enjoy doing though. A lot of people hate it. Am I a weirdo?
It depends, man. It depends. It depends on how the video is coming out. Like if I watch a video back and like my energy's good in the video and the tones are good and the angles are all lined up just right, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. And you're real motivated to just, get it done. And it doesn't feel like a chore. But then the videos that don't come out so well, you're just like, man, this sucks. Like I'm editing a turd right now. And it kind of takes the fun out of it. But I mean, the video editing process overall isn't bad. It's tedious, but it's not bad.
It can be tedious. I think I said I enjoy learning software, and I'm used to doing that at work, but it's something I just enjoy in general. Yeah. So going on a deep dive into something like Reaper or Premiere Pro, it's just kind of a natural thing for me to want to do that.
Okay.
Now, do you like mixing music?
I really wanted to get into it. Like 2 years ago, I literally was like, I've wanted to record forever. And finally, I just took a dive and bought a ton of mics. I bought a 8-channel interface and then an expansion and got everything to record. And I do this thing where when I get into something, I get really, really into it. And then I usually am like either bored of it or I'm on to the next thing after like 3 or 4 months, to be completely honest. So I never get really super deep into anything because I get pretty far in that amount of time, like that initial where the interest is sparked, but then I never get past that. So that's what happened with recording. And it was just really like anything else. I just didn't have the time to dive into it. I really want to. I still want to. It's something I'm still very interested in. I kept all the equipment. But I recorded some stuff for my bands just for fun and sent it to people who I know who run their own studios. And they were like, this is really good. Like, you're doing really good. But when it came to mixing, I didn't have the first clue. And I don't think that that's something that I'll honestly spend time on because I'm too much of I'll listen to it and then I'll go back to it and listen to it again and I'll need to change it. And that'll be, I'll just do that dance forever and nothing will ever get done.
I think Glenn Fricker says what mixes aren't ever complete. They're just given up on.
I mean, that sounds right, honestly.
I mean, for me, that is a thing. Like, I had a monitor break, so I bought Kali Audio LP6s. And
I'm looking at those right now. Do you like them?
I like them a lot more than my KRKs.
Okay.
The KRKs,
I think are going to go to is like the standard, like entry level for
they
everybody.
I had one break, and I was like, what the fug? Anyway, I was out for a week, and it sucked. I was using my headphones here.
Yeah.
And I think there's just some like little solder thing. I'm either going to get them fixed or I'm going to attempt to fix that one myself. I heard it's something simple, and those are going to go to the television, and then I'll just put them up there. So I got the LP6s. They're not as loud, but they're clear.
That's all that matters.
For something like you're doing, I think they'd work great.
Yeah.
Now, I don't have an acoustically treated room or anything, but I did mix my last song called Dream Away. If you guys haven't heard that, you should check that out. And you should check out Bushido Code afterwards because I'm interviewing Kyle. So Thanks. You have to. Anyway, yeah, man, I actually quite like them. They're a good price point.
There you go. Sorry. Bushido. Plug real quick.
Hey,
that's our new album. Just came out a couple weeks ago.
You are allowed to plug your album here. This is what it's plugging. About. Yeah. You can also plug your YouTube channel as well. You guys can subscribe to Kyle if you want. He'd probably appreciate it.
Yeah, it'd be cool.
If you haven't,
as long as you like guitar amps.
Yeah, if you haven't subscribed to mine, you can subscribe to mine too. It's not as focused as Kyle's, but it's because I do whatever I want. And but you know, there's a good point too. Is on YouTube is focus. A lot of people say niche down, and some people do only the same thing all the time. From what I can tell, you're mostly amps. You do an FAQ, and I see you do a podcast. But for me, I'm kind of like, all right, it was always about music to start with. I mean, this was like over 10 years ago. And I would just have a song. And trust me, if you go back that far, they suck. Everything about it sucks. The audio, I didn't mix. I didn't know what mixing was. I'm not joking. I actually didn't know. And,
wow. Okay.
I didn't know what any of it was. It was just done in Audacity. I remember, not to cut you off, but I remember trying to record so many things through Audacity, through my laptop's like microphone port with like a Behringer XM8500 because that's all I could afford. I had a oh man, what did I do? I had a few different things I've done. I had I don't know if I have the adapter here on my desk. It's probably somewhere's here. I had a Zoom, I think it was ZFX or GFX3. This awful digital sounding pedal. I think I'm going to revisit it. I did a video and I'm pretty sure I didn't have the cabinets turned on. And I think I was just getting like, it was one of my fail videos. I got like a number of 1,000 views too. I think I need to revisit it. And it was the most digital sounding piece of crap. People complain about Line 6. Yeah. My Line 6 pod blew that thing out of the water. And
the Line 6 pod actually, I think, was better than a lot of people wanted to give it credit for.
I agree.
Those things held up for a long time.
So this thing, again, exactly what you said, that Zoom would go into the sound card. I'm pretty sure of my mom's computer. I was quite a bit younger. And then when I got my own computer, it would go into, I bought a sound card thinking that'd be great. That'll work with ASIO. And, which is cool. And everything was Audacity. And it was the Zoom with a guitar cord with a 1/4 to 1/8 inch adapter. I can't talk today. Into the sound card, which is just gain. And I don't mean good gain, just shitty gain. And everything sounded like crap. And then eventually it's like, well, then I realized my Roland Cube had a recording out. They all had a recording out, which is just a thing. Then I tried that. And that was okay. And it's like, oh, maybe I'll turn the gain down. And then the pod was amazing because it had USB. It was an X3. I don't know if you ever had one of those.
No, man. I never really messed with multi-effects units, honestly.
Yeah. Oh, but when I was younger, that was like the shit.
I had like a Digitech RP100, like one of the terrible blue and gray ones.
Oh, yeah. It had the 2 pedals on it.
Yeah.
And
I found the auto yaw, and that was it. That's all.
Yeah.
Drove my parents nuts with that.
I remember people having the Line 6 Spider, a few people.
Yeah.
Not the new one, but the old ones. There was no phone apps. Nobody had a smartphone at the time. And it had the Insane channel. And you were a cool kid if you had the Insane channel.
Yeah, I remember playing those in stores and I'm thinking they were awesome.
And I think everybody thought they were awesome. But then a friend of mine still has an old one. And I played it like a year or two ago. And I was like, oh, this is hurting the ears. The Cube was amazing compared to that. I wouldn't say it was always so bad, but the Insane channel was gross.
Yeah.
Metal
the
was
one that was right before that actually isn't too bad. The channel, like I forget what it is.
There was Clean, Crunch, Metal, and I think Insane.
I think the Metal wasn't terrible
because it wasn't just straight up digital gain.
Yeah, like gains on 10 at 1.
Yeah, pretty much. It was just, but I mean, when you can't play, I mean, that hides all your mistakes.
Of course. I mean, that's basically what a 5150 does. That's one reason why they're so popular.
But a 5150, at least, you know, sounds cool. Huh? You can record with a 5150 with the right setup. Line 6 Insane, I don't think you're fixing that. I think Fluff fixed a Line 6 Spider once, but he probably spent a ton of time doing such. But they were horrendous things. They were, you know, like in the sense of a kid in a bedroom starting off, it was fine.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you hide behind the Insane channel. I did this stuff. But yeah, even when I started recording with the X3, I still did terrible. When I cared about recording, when I came back a little bit later, when I could afford to have an interface and stuff, or just when I started to, I bought Reaper.
Yeah.
And I think I recorded my first thing with the pod. I try to plug in. This is before Neural DSP was around, or at least selling their stuff. Yeah. I tried a Lapoo plugin. Remember those?
I have them on my computer right now.
Yeah, they're the free ones. And
the Soldano one is good.
If
you use the right cab IR, that's what matters.
The IR is everything. I've been using. I've tried out a few of these other ones, like the Audio Assault Sigma and stuff too these days. I'm not a big plugin guy. Like so many people are like Neural that. I have a few of the Audio Assault ones. They're great. I do use Neural DSP, but mostly the Dark Class bass plugin.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much though. Once I cared about recording, I had an interface. I found the Kemper, and I just went from there.
Yeah.
The Kemper.
Yeah,
was
I mean that's
everything.
That was the hot thing for. I mean, obviously, XFX has been really popular.
Oh yeah.
But I think Kemper really was the one where people are like, okay, the technology's arrived. Like, especially after the captures, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people who were really into tone said that, you know, that Kemper gets you 96% of the way there. There's always going to be that little bit with the digital stuff, but when you're recording, you'll never really know that. You know what I mean?
You just need something that works in a mix, you know? You're probably going to be post-processing that some anyway. The key is that if you do have a unit like that, like I don't care what one it is, whether it's a Helix or Pod Go or something, find a tone that works for you. One, like a good source tone, you won't have to mess with that much with EQs. It's just be like carving out your mix. Yeah. That's about it. Like, you know, cut your bass a little bit, you know, let those other frequencies through. Like for me, it's a PRS Archon. I would love to have the actual amp.
It's awesome. I have one right here.
Oh my God. Can I come to your place and try it?
I had two 100s and two 50s at the same time recently, but I sold all of them off except for the one, or no, I still have two 50s, but that's going to be up for sale. They're great amps. Yeah.
I just have this one free profile I found by Chop Tones. I'm like, man, that's killer. What I really need to do is get a mic. My friend's Marshall DSL over here, because that sounds killer through my cabinet, and just profile it and try it out, see how it goes. Because like I had the profiler and I don't profile. It's basically I've got the power head, so I can run it through my cab, which is just cheap cab. You have a billion cabs, or at least 3. How do you?
I have like 25, 26, I think.
Oh my God, how do you keep that in your house?
Basement.
Do you get to try all of them?
Yeah, I have a couple I've never even played, but yeah. Okay. So that's the thing. I tell people all the time. I'm a big gear flipper. I do a lot of trading and a lot of upselling and stuff like that. So that's really how my whole channel was born in the first place. I just have a ton of gear on hand at all times. I love gear. I'm a tone nerd. I'm not a good guitarist, but I love to play, and really that's mainly what matters to me. Wish I had more time to play, but yeah, I've always got so much gear. I always get to try all the cool amps and stuff like that. So I'm like, I should make a channel out of it. But yeah, the 4x12s, the cabs, just like the IRs, are a much bigger part of the signal than people ever get it credit for.
Absolutely, man. I don't know, like all these like monitors and all these different things. I still like playing through a cab in the room.
Yeah, because there's nothing like moving air with speakers, man. That's kind of what I mean with the digital thing is like you're never gonna fully get there unless you're going through a 4x12 cab, loud, pushing air. That's what really gives you the experience. It's a visceral experience.
You're talking about just cabs. Well, mine's a 2x12 vertical. It's a Harley Benton. I just wanted something to move air.
Yeah, but is it the one with V30s?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, everybody says those sound great. So
it sounds super good. And honestly, for the price of it, even with the import, it was really affordable. Yeah. Honestly, I got it just before like the pandemic started and stuff.
Luckily, because I tried to order one and the import prices are a lot higher than they were before the pandemic. So
I think I got like
that out.
$430 total. It wasn't much.
Brand new cab?
That was Canadian money, by the way. Yeah, brand new cab with Celestian vintage 30s. I don't care if they're the Chinese ones or not the American ones. I don't know where they make them. I don't know much about vintage 30s. I love them. I need to get a mic and actually work with it. I'd like to get a little tube amp again at some point. Yeah. I don't know if I want an MT15 so bad. I don't know. What did you think of the MT?
I love it. Yeah. It's very, very similar to the Archon, but there are some differences. I actually find that the MT15 has a little bit of a punchier low end, believe it or not.
Okay.
And it's got a little bit more upper mid presence, like upper mid grind. So it's I liken the Archon to a dual rectifier and an Ubershaw mashed into one head.
Nice.
Okay. Whereas the MT15 is like a dual rectifier and a 5150 mashed into one head. But the difference is I actually have a video recorded. I think I might edit it for tomorrow release, but I'm not sure. It depends on if I do the live stream tonight or not. But they're pretty close. And the MT15 is much more affordable. So
I'm sure if you don't put it out tomorrow, I'm sure people can survive till Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? So now my question is, when did you get into collecting all these tube amps?
So I'm a hoarder by nature.
So you're hiding the other rooms, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, this is literally like a sample of what I have, and I'm not saying that to be a dickhead. It's a kind of a sickness, to be completely honest. There's no doubt that I have a little bit of a mental disorder.
I don't collect things.
Yeah, no. So you don't understand at all. It seems very particular to guitarists. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, because most of us, I think there's two different types of people. There's the people who buy and constantly sell, like they have that one thing. I'm sure you've met them. I know people are just like, man, this is the best guitar I've ever played. And 3 weeks later, it's for sale.
It's hilarious to me. Yeah.
And then the next guy is like me. You have a rack of instruments. I've never sold a guitar once. I gave one away because it was a $10 shit acoustic. I had it in South Korea.
Yeah.
And a guy, I think he was going to give it to me. He was moving back to, I think, Portland or one of those places. And I had a busted tuner. And it had an action like, this freaking high.
Yeah.
And it sounded good for $10 though. $3 tuner and a set of elixirs.
Right.
Man, it was freaking sweet.
Who cares how much it costs? Yeah. Who cares what's on the headstock?
Yeah, it was a great beater rooftop guitar and stuff, man. And I gave that to the people I worked with. I'm like, here, keep learning. I don't know where it is now. It had a Gibson shaped headstock that said 2-man. That's the only one I ever get rid of.
Yeah.
Not every guitar in here is mine right now. I have a Jackson over there for a review that was lent to me. It was nice. So I got that not from Jackson, but it was an old one, which is really cool. But I just, I get them and then I get attached to them.
Yep.
But I've sold.
The problem is you attach value, you attach personal value to it.
I've sold most of my amps.
Okay. So you hang on to the guitars more than the amps.
And it's mostly because it's just, I don't know how, it's just big. There's various reasons. Like my first amp my buddy has, my second amp is the Cube, and I still have the Cube. And the only reason I keep the Cube is because it's great when you're going somewhere you just need noise.
Yeah.
People don't know the difference. If you know how to dial it in a bit, just add a little bit of reverb and stuff. I mean, it sounds fine.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. I remember it was sitting at a party and somebody's kids were there. Somebody's like, I know they ended up touching the knobs, and they're like, I know you had that dialed in and all that stuff. I'm like, dude, I literally couldn't care what knob was turned on that amp,
bro.
It's just like that amp's probably not going to turn on for the next 6 months. I couldn't care less.
Right.
I had a PV Valve King, like I think the first generation of the Valve Kings.
Okay. Dude, they're not bad. They're not bad.
It was okay. I gigged it once. Man, like in this like small bar, it's just like boom noise, directional noise.
Yeah.
And out at the whole place, like we were a little bit quiet, mic'd up. I just still remember seeing the old crappy point shoot camera video. You see him walk up and he just goes to the amp, turns it up, and like whole place, then they can hear it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I at one, not even, no, at like barely above 0, it was enough for the room. At 1, it was enough for the house. 100-watt tube 2x12 is insane.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it can be insanely loud.
I'm gonna tell this quick story about how we got it. I was looking for an amp because, you know, at the time modelers weren't that good. Like there was pods and stuff, but there wasn't like their Kempers and XFX wasn't around yet.
Right.
This is about 2008. So hey, am I wrong? I don't think that stuff was there.
I think the XFX was around at that time, but it wasn't really all that popular or obtainable. Yeah.
I didn't really know about it at the time. So everything, like, you know, when you're younger, especially, and I mean, I still have the tube amp desire just because I've had a few. It's that there's just something about that organic feel of them. The Kemper comes pretty close. I do like the Kemper. But yeah, basically there was this Valve King. We went into town, you know, took our guitars and went to the store. It's now long gone. And they had a bunch of PV Valve Kings. They had the 1x12s and the 2x12s. And for some reason we were playing the 1x12. And somebody's like, well, how much is it? I was like, oh, I think we'll buy that. He's like, and it was something like, he said, oh no. It was how did it work? It said $300 some on it. And he goes, oh no, that's not the price of the 1x12. That's the price of the 2x12. The 2x12 was supposed to be like, you know, $7.99 or something stupid. And he's like, just no, that's the price of the 2x12. We bought 2 for the price of 1.
Hell
2x12s, the price of 1.
Sometimes you get lucky, right?
We fit them in an old Toyota car. There was 4 of us. We somehow jammed ourselves back into the vehicle. The biggest guy had to get in the passenger seat. It was a friend of our parents' car. We brought them back out home and went back into town because I think so a friend of mine bought his Geddy Lee jazz bass the same day.
Okay.
And we were, oh man, it's so good. I actually should have had it for my last video. It was a Rush cover. I just played along with the song on bass.
Yeah, I saw that. That was rad. Yeah.
Oh, hey, thanks for actually watching that. I didn't know.
Yeah, of course. I watched your music video too. That was.
Oh, dope. Dream Away. Yeah.
Yeah.
Check out Distant too. It's a good one.
I'll
Jamie Slays' guy, Sam Bly, mixed that one.
Nice.
Because I wasn't sure what to do, and his job on the mix was incredible.
Nice, awesome.
And anyway, got the amps back, turned the amp on. My mom was fuming because I was going to have this thing, and I was still living with my parents at the time.
Yeah.
And in university and burning money, you know, and I wasn't even that bad of a spender. Okay. It just, and a friend says, yeah, you could use this amp as a desk. Cause she's thinking it's this big freaking massive desk. It wasn't that big.
She has the wrong picture to start.
Oh, well, she didn't know. So he says that. She's like, I guess she was fuming. Go back to my buddy's place, turn it on, fuse blows.
Oh, man.
Brand new amp, fuse blows. We're like, man, what should we do?
Probably
you know what? We're gonna let's take the fuse, put it back in. Store then knows they screwed up, sold 2 for the price of 1, and they exchanged it for me for a new one. They didn't make me pay anymore. I got a new one under warranty, and I played that for 2 or 3 years, and I sold that off because I was moving and all that stuff. But man, you know what? That was my introduction to tube amps, was that freaking monster.
Yeah.
And I needed better speakers so badly.
That's the thing, man, is I recently did a video on the Valve King. And it's probably one of my better performing videos. I remember when I was getting into gear, I had just got a 6505. And at the time, that was, you know, incredible to have one of those. I'm like, I want that. How do I get something like that, but cheaper? You know what I mean? As like a backup. And the Valve King was the thing that kept popping up like everywhere, but I couldn't play one. I never had the opportunity to play one. And the videos on YouTube were all terrible, the amp. So for the longest time, I didn't know if they sounded good, if they were any good or not. And then recently I got one and I did a video with it, and it's definitely got its shortcomings. It's got its issues, but like, it's not a bad sounding amp as long as I was putting it through a Mesa traditional cab. So that helps. But you pair that amp with the right cab and the right speakers, it sounds just fine.
Yeah, I like my current setup still a lot more than my Valve King at the time.
I mean, it's not the amp I'm gonna choose. Yeah,
I mean,
else,
like my camper into a cabinet. Like if I'm jamming with people, now when I record, it just goes to the interface and stuff. And I mean, if I want to monitor with the cab and run that out to something, change the IRs out later on, I can do all that stuff too. It's easy enough to do that. If you want to do it, you just think about what you're doing and stuff too, or run a DI. You can always reamp. There's,
you should
options.
do that anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, this setup, man, I wouldn't. I know that's a cheap cab. That cab cost me about what the price was of the Valve King. I think I only lost I didn't even lose that much selling the Valve King. Yeah, it wasn't even that much because I got it for such a cheap price. Right. To begin with. So I mean, I think I don't know if I lost any more than $30 or $50. Like it really wasn't that
you
bad.
Made that on that, especially for having it for a few years.
For having it a few years, I really paid $50 to demo an amp for 3 years. Right. And really, that wasn't that bad. I mean, the Kemper cost exponentially more. I mean, it's newer technology. We're never going to get away from tube amps. I don't care. This this digital technology is here because we still like tube tone. We just want to get it in a more compact way. For me though, for price and space, I could have tube amps here if I wanted to, no problem. But for space, especially when I bought it, the Kemper made sense. Yeah, and it makes more sense for anybody than to have this sitting behind you. You know what I mean? Exactly. It's unnecessary, but I look at it from a collector standpoint. Yeah. So you know what? One of the best sounds though, like Kemper sounds good, like the good IRs and all that stuff. But a guy now, I'm just gonna say his name because he's an awesome dude and a great guitar player. His name's Peter Fredlin, and he had a Victory Kraken. I don't know if you ever played a Kraken.
I've owned a couple of them. Yeah.
I want to try one, and he ran that through a captor. And he just sent us the tone. Oh my god, it sounded so good. Whatever he did with it. Okay. It's just like, dude, that sounds phenomenal. He always gets good tones.
In the room, and a lot of people have actually gotten almost upset with me because I'm always honest about stuff. And people seem to think that the Kraken is like this mini 5150, essentially, with a 50 watt power section in a lunchbox head shell. And it may be based off that, but to me, I just could never get along with it. It's got this really, in the room, annoying upper mid frequency that you cannot. And I'm a guy who likes mids. I like mids in my tone a lot. But there was a frequency in there that I just could not get along with at all. So it may record really, really well. And like you said, if he's putting it through a load box and you guys are throwing an IR and you're basically hearing the process thing after the fact, it may sound incredible and people may love it in the room too. But for me, I could never get along with it as much as I wanted to like it. It got fatiguing on the ears really quick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's to each their own, but at least you were honest about it instead of saying it's great. Yeah. I checked out
never say it's a bad amp.
The first video I checked out by you was that Rev video, and the Revs always sound really good.
They do. And they sound good under a mic too. Yeah. They mic up really well. So I haven't gotten a chance to do any of because it's got the built-in 2-note stuff. And I haven't gotten a chance to do anything with that. And I really was going to try to do it soon, but I ended up buying the amp off Rev. So now it's mine, so I can take my time with it.
Yeah. Oh, that's super cool, man. Yeah. You like it when you said, hey, I'll give you the money for that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they gave me a nice deal, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure it was just, they were very appreciative of the videos because the videos were very favorable for the amp.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was a great sounding amp. I really enjoyed it and had a lot of fun with it. So it just kind of worked out all around. I mean, I still pinch myself thinking, holy crap, this new really popular company sent me their flagship amp to demo for free.
I was just going to say, that's a big deal to get something for free.
It was huge for me. I mean, when it showed up, I opened it up and they sent me a hat and a t-shirt and some other cool swag stuff. And I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like, I can't believe this is happening right now. You know what I mean? Like, I get to sample pretty much any amp that I want, but a lot of the newer stuff is hard to get a hold of at a decent price. So I don't get the opportunity to play it. So the fact that they were like, yeah, we'll send you an amp. And at the time when they agreed to do it, I had less than 1,000 subs.
Oh, wow. So, that's pretty cool, man. I've, my only experience that I didn't have, oh man, I might have had like 200 subs, and I noticed Stone Age Picks was talking to him, or they were doing something. They were just like liking my videos or something, or they said something was cool. Matt Halliday, and he was the first guy who ever really like believed in me in that sense. And I said like, hey, I'd like to try on your picks. He sent me a DM, so he gave me like a deal on it, and to do a video. And so I did. Pick videos do not do good, but it was my first time doing something, and those picks are awesome. And like right out of that, this guy, he's like, oh yeah, you like those ones? You need to try Hawk picks. And they sent me like all these premium ones for nothing.
Nice.
I still use them all the time. It's like, that's cool. I haven't had an opportunity like that in like a while, but pick videos don't do good, but I'll throw a plug out for Stone Age or Hawk any day. I'm not endorsed. I mean, I just got over 1,000, and it's really, really tough to get people to take you serious when you have a small number and nobody knows who you are. It's a battle. It seems like for you, you've got videos that are getting traction, and one of the things that you came up, like what you did like right off the bat, is you had good production. I never did.
It was important to me, you know?
It is. Like there's actually, I saw a post somewhere, somebody said, yeah, we're not gonna let you do this because you got to get your production better, like Ola, and they even mentioned you. I don't know where I saw on Facebook.
That's still kind of crazy. That was Truck Driver Sean who made that
post. Oh, yes, that was Truck Driver Sean. You're right. Yeah, I don't really know him, but that's where I saw that too. And I mean, he's probably working all the time. So when you drive a truck, you're on the road a lot. And so it's hard to put in all the time for this. I'm working at home these days, so I mean, I don't know. I was putting the effort into some of these videos like before this. But yeah, for me, like, it is tough when you want to do things like for me, like, I don't want to be like an amp guy or maybe an amp sim guy, although I would like to try some out. But for me, I like reviewing the guitars. That's a good time to me. It's playing guitars. I mean, I like playing music and stuff too, just like, you know, hanging out and jamming and stuff. But yeah, that's crazy though. Congrats on getting that from Rev. Like, I see you got the hat on. Like, man, I'd wear that hat everywhere.
Dude,
you know?
It's dope. I love people who don't even know what guitars are ask me about this hat. I love this hat. And I'm bald too, so I gotta cover up the top, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dude, do you ever sunburn the top? You ever get a sunburn on top of your head?
Oh, dude, I went like completely bald like not that long ago, but a few years ago I went to a wedding that was outside, and I still had some hair, but it was pretty thin, and I was out in the sun all day and I didn't even realize it. Like, the top of my head hurt so bad for like the next like 3 or 4 days after that. So yeah, never making that mistake again. But
right before I think the video right before like a number of months, I think I did like one video before I started YouTube again. I did a music video for a song I did called Wavemaker. We didn't know what we were doing, nothing. We didn't know the camera settings. We went out and I didn't use sunscreen and it hurt like hell.
Yeah.
And
I can imagine.
So now I have to wear a hat everywhere. So I don't care. Like, I'll wear the hat and use sunscreen, because like you go from like red to white if you're me, and it's like lobster white guy.
Oh, dude, I'm extremely white. My girlfriend makes fun of me all the time for how my skin's like see-through.
Oh, dude, I don't know.
I'm Scottish. I'm mostly Scottish, so that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like you're just like, you know, the local version of me wherever you're at. You talk a lot about guitars and stuff, and while I try not to do that with the average person, I can get into it so quick.
As soon as somebody's into it, then I'm off to the races.
Oh, man, like that's like a whole night's conversation right there. I mean, I could talk about a billion things. I mean, there's other things that I'm into doing, and I like talking about weird crap or anything, but you get me down that hole. It's the worst though. Like, you like meet people. Like, I'm a single dude. So sometimes you meet girls and stuff, but sometimes that's all on your head is guitars.
Right.
What the hell are you they don't, most people don't give a damn, man. Like they don't. The average person doesn't care.
They really don't.
This is one thing, you know, all this gear, like, oh, I'll talk about this. Well, I like this guitar better. I like this pickup better. I like this amp better. To the average person watching you play, it just either sounds good or it doesn't. They don't care.
Yeah, 100%.
They don't care.
Even if it doesn't sound good, they don't know the difference.
That is absolutely true. I mean, some people, it's like, that's just what it is. They don't know. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I mean, I think there's a lot of society.
For you, it matters. Yeah.
To me, it matters. But I mean, there's things that I can say that maybe I don't like that I like hearing through somebody else play. Like you might sound really good playing through a triple rec. I might hate my tone through a triple rec until I listen to it in a mix. I'm like, damn, it sounds so good.
Yeah. That's the exact amp that I always use for that scenario too, because I don't really like rectifiers all that much. But I hear other people play them and they sound awesome. Yeah. But when I play them, I don't like them that much.
In a mix, I heard something there, even with some just crap video I had out. Somebody goes, dude, that last tone was killer. I'm like, man, every time I listen to like the rectifier in a mix, I'm like, yeah, it sounds good.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Okay. We've got a little bit of time here left. Guitars. Like what are you playing for guitars? I see you got all these Solars back there. I know you just got the same one I did, which you're probably going to sell anyway. And I already told you about the Evertune a little bit. Like the Evertunes aren't scary, but what do you really like in guitars? Like what's your favorites?
Gibsons, and a lot of. I thought I would get a lot of hate for that when I started the channel, honestly, because most of the YouTube guys are playing modern brands, modern style guitars, and I've always been a Gibson guy. It really, like, I started off on like LTDs and Schecters, so I'm gonna go back. I'll go back because you asked me what got me started collecting gear, and I'll cover all this stuff real quick.
Sure, so give her.
I started playing guitar when I was in like 7th grade, and I really loved it. I knew I loved music from a young age, but I loved playing guitar, and it's something that I took really seriously when I was younger. And I ended up getting a disease in my hand where the bones in my hand would break really easily. Oh. So from 15 to 18, I was in a cast, like literally that entire time. So I ended up not really playing guitar and ended up switching over to drums instead, because I could tuck a drumstick in my cast and still play like that, which still haunts me to this day, because now, you know, my wrist I really had to train it in order to get the proper wrist movement.
That motion was just something,
you know, I really had to put a lot of work into that. So, but yeah. So anyways, like I've always been in bands and stuff like that, but I never took gear seriously for the longest time. I mean, my band went to Europe in 2009 and I didn't own a guitar. I had to borrow somebody's guitar to go on a 2-month European tour. Yeah. So I ended up borrowing somebody's like LTD Viper 400 or something and used that for the entire tour and loved it. And they didn't ask for it back when I got back. So I just hung on to it, and we played a bunch of shows in the US. Well, we went to go out on a US tour in 2010. And right before I left, they asked for the guitar back. So oh shit. So the first night of tour, I bought an LTD EC50 off Craigslist for like $50, and I had that. And I bought a guitar amp and a guitar off of somebody I knew in the city that we were going to start the tour in, which was Indiana, Fort Wayne, Indiana, maybe. And I bought a Jackson Dinky with a Floyd Rose on it. Didn't even know what a Floyd Rose was when I bought the guitar. This was 2010, so this was really not that long ago.
It's fair. I've been in situations where I didn't know stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I literally knew nothing. So I tried to put new strings on the guitar and couldn't figure out why the fuck I couldn't get it to stay in tune. And before I knew it, the bridge was sitting like this on top of the guitar.
I've been there. There.
So I'm like, all right, well, whatever. I'm playing this first show with an EC50. I don't care. And I ended up blocking the bridge on the Jackson, because if there's one thing that I can say for myself, it's when I don't know something, I'll figure it out pretty quickly. So I went online and read, oh, it's a Floyd Rose. Oh, it's a floating bridge. What the hell's a floating bridge? Okay, well, here's how you lock it down. So I ended up locking it down with a 9-volt battery that I had. sticking it in the cavity there.
Yep.
And like finally I got it, you know, to the point where it would tune. It didn't have any of the locking nut on it. So I was tuning it with the regular tuners,
Yep.
not using the fine tuners. And I'm like, man, this guitar sucks. So we just happened to stop at a Guitar Center, and I found an Epiphone SG400, the white one that came with EMG stock in it back in the day.
Yeah.
I think I got that guitar for like $160 or something out the door. Nice. And I ended up using that for the rest of my tour. And I'm like, man, I really like this guitar. Hey, guitars are kind of cool. And so are amps. And my amp that I had at the time was a Madison Divinity.
Oh, I remember Madison vaguely. Yeah, I never saw one.
They were like the hot new thing at the time. Well, I mean, I think people had already started to find them out at the time, that they were just completely garbage Chinese made amps with a cool logo on them.
Yeah. It had the knives, right?
It had like a sword.
Yes.
That goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I haven't heard that in so long.
Yeah. It's so funny. People somewhat remember them, but they're one of those brands that have kind of faded into obscurity, and for good reason. They suck. They don't sound bad, but the reliability is just trash. Yeah. On them. And they made them out to be these like boutique high gain amps, and they were endorsing all these bands. Well, turn out they were like made in China with like terrible parts. And so anyways, I had one of those, and it broke down on me twice on tour. And somebody let me use their 6505. And it was like, oh my God, this is so good. You know, like immediately I loved the way that thing sounded. So when I got home, my first order of business was to get another cool guitar and get a 6505. So I did that pretty quickly. And I got a Schecter Solo 6 Hellraiser.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember the look of that one, but yeah.
It's kind of like a melted looking LP style guitar.
Oh yeah, those things.
Yeah, I actually have one, not the Hellraiser because I don't really like active pickups, but I have it's a SLS Blackjack. Okay. And it's still, I mean, I have, you know, multi-$1,000 Gibson. I've got a couple customs. I've got a 1958 reissue. But that Schecter is still one of my favorite guitars. It's just an awesome guitar. So, so anyways, yeah, I got a guitar, and I went down the rabbit hole of watching all the gear reviews on YouTube. I think the only channel in 2010 that had multiple amps on it was like Premier Guitar with that Paul dude who used to do all their demos.
Yeah, vaguely.
And like everything was like drenched in delay and reverb. Like he was a good player, but like every amp sounded bad. And I'm like, well, I don't even know what I want at this point. So I ended up just focusing on guitars, and I bought a bunch of like LTD EC1000s. I got really into Agile guitars for a while. Do you remember Agile?
I only ever played one Agile, and it was so beat to crap that I hated it, and I never want to go back to another one. Right. That's not something you see around here too much. So yeah, Schecters are definitely around. Gibson, I mean, this is Gibson country around here. I don't own a Gibson. I have an Epiphone and a bottom of the barrel one. I just set that up and did a mod on it for a video. Nice. And dude, that for an Epiphone for a Special 2, which is probably one of my best videos reviewing the stock version of it. Yeah. You know, the setup matters so much in those guitars, and once you set them up, I mean, even the stock pickups, you could get away with it with a good amp. But I took a bit of shit for it, but I drilled the headstock out, put a set of Grovers in it. And
why not? Yeah.
Apparently you can get smaller holes. Ones for smaller holes. I didn't know. I think Europe and Asia works on a different thing. And I had tuners for an American ones. I read they worked good with Gibsons. I'm like, should be the same. So I took a drill and drilled them out. Man, it holds tune amazing. It sounds killer. I like the Les Paul feel, man. I know you said you thought people hate you for Gibsons. Boomers love Gibsons and tube amps. Yeah. Yeah, you're all set, buddy.
Here I am, a 33-year-old dude, and I love boomer stuff. I love love old Marshalls, you know, but I play thrash metal and hardcore. So I just, you know, you gravitate towards what you gravitate. Your ear kind of tells you what you like, and but yeah, like back then I couldn't afford Gibsons. I thought that they were like unobtainable, you know? So I just never bothered looking at them until I got my first one, which is a Les Paul Studio. And that thing was just like night and day. Like I had all these EC1000s, and which were dirt cheap at the time. You know, you could get them for like $400 used, like pretty much any day of the week. And the Schecters were kind of the same deal. They were actually worth even less used. So anyways, after I got that Gibson, I'm like, okay, this is it for me for guitars. I love guitar. I love this Gibson. I ended up selling a bunch of Schecters and LTDs so I could get a real nice Gibson. I bought like a Gibson Les Paul Classic after that. And this is at the time when I didn't know that the nut mattered, but that Gibson Les Paul Classic would not stay in tune for anything. It was a beautiful guitar, and I actually wish I still had it because it was a honey burst and I got a good deal on it. And I ended up selling it. But if I had just had a proper setup done with a good nut on it, I'd probably still own that guitar to this day. But yeah, so after I got into the Gibsons and really figured out what I liked with guitars, that's when I started to focus on amps. Now I played that 6505 from 2010 until 2013 before I even got another amp, I think. And I got an old PV Ultra Plus, which is an awesome amp. And then I just kind of went down the PV rabbit hole, like exploring. That's back when like the old 80s PVs were still cheap. You could get like a VTM or an Ultra for like 150 or $200 here in the States any day that you wanted to. And I ended up getting a bunch of those, and it really just kind of spiraled from there. Like I really just got into finding something unique and different. And there's two things that I always aim for, and I still aim for them. It's bang for the buck. What's going to get me the best tone for the least amount of money, which is something I still love to do. I mean, I've got total, I call it dickhead level gear. I've got a Friedman stack in the background behind me. And
nice.
But like, I put up a couple videos on my Facebook today of me comparing an SLO 100 that I just bought to a Jet City that I paid $200 for. And a lot of people were like, I never knew that these amplifiers could be that close.
Crazy.
And they really are. I mean, they really are. As long as you know how to dial them in and you know, not sucking my own dick, but I'm pretty good at dialing in a decent tone with whatever I'm using at the time. That's all that really matters. And you're playing, and I'm not the greatest player, but I'm good enough to make things sound decent.
It's all that matters.
Yeah, that's really what matters in the end. So even though I love boutique gear, I love vintage gear and rare stuff because it's fun and I'm a collector. Like I could go down to like a PV 5150 and a JCM 2000 DSL and a couple of cheaper cabinets that have good speakers in them and be completely content with how things sound for the rest of my life. And I'm totally fine with that. But I just really enjoy trying everything that's out there. Not that I'm still searching for my tone, because I think I found it. But I love trying everything. I love saying, yeah, I've played that, or yeah, I had one of those for a while. Here was my impression. And people value that. Like I have people even before the YouTube channel, people would hit me up all the time. Hey man, need your thoughts on this amp. What do you think? Have you ever played one? Yeah, I had one. I had one for a long time. Here's what I thought about it. All right, that's really, really helpful. That sounds like it's good for me. Or nah, that doesn't sound like what I'm after. Okay, that helps a lot. Thanks, man. Yeah. So that's just how the YouTube channel was born, essentially, is I'm like, you know what? Like so many of these amps don't have cool demos. Old PV stuff like the PV VTM or even the Valve King. I'm like, there's really like one or two decent demos of either amp on YouTube. And I figured by 2020 that there would be plenty up, and there still isn't. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll try to get some cool demos out there and just see how it goes. And hopefully people don't tear me apart for how bad my playing is or how awkward I am on camera. And it just really worked out far better than I ever thought it would. So
here's a weird train of thought in this one. You keep saying you're like a bad player, and I'm like, but I hear you play. I'm like, it doesn't sound bad to me. It sounds fine. So one, we're our worst critics, because there's times I'll be doing some sort of thing. I'm like, I have to play all that again. I cannot play today or something. Or something will sound like just trash. But I think for a lot of people, when they want to hear something like a tube amp, so you're doing the tube amp things, and there's a market for that. So people want to hear it. Maybe they don't. I don't think you need a virtuoso to do that. Like you said, you just need to sound good enough. I think maybe there's something relatable to people too, but somebody who doesn't maybe sound like they're some crazy sweep picker.
Yeah.
And another thing, like my buddy Daryl V and a few other people out there, they're good. They're amazing players. And the other thing that they can do is they can make cheap stuff sound amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned too when I did my Epiphone video. I was running through the Kemper. I get asked all the time, well, why does yours sound so good? I've played a while. I'm using a good amp. I recorded it properly. The guitar's set up. Yep. It's not that I'm doing anything extra special. The problem is everybody gets them. It's just whatever out of the box. But people, maybe you don't have to be the best. Like, I don't want to watch a review of somebody on YouTube. Let's say I want to buy, I don't know, that Marshall behind you. I don't want to watch somebody sweep picking through it. That doesn't answer anything for me.
No,
like, okay,
it really
sounds good. Like, I want to hear maybe some leads, but how do those riffs sound?
Right.
All right.
That's what the majority of people are going to be doing with it.
I'm trying to think of the song name. I have to ask you this now. I swear I heard it when I had one of your videos on the background. Did you play a Coheed and Cambria riff in one of those videos?
Yes.
It was like I forget. It was like, why can I not think of it? It's after the one, the album that's after the one Welcome Home's on. It's like,
it's on Keeping Secrets.
No, I can play the riff too. I'm like, as soon as you play that, I'm like, I haven't heard anybody play that on YouTube ever.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Feathers.
I didn't
That's the name of the
Feathers.
song.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
dude, I'm a massive Coheed and Cambria fan.
Dude, when I was like, that was the band that, like, when you're younger, it's not your parents' music. It's not too heavy. It's not too light. It was interesting. It kind of fit the time that it came out, especially in Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3. I still think they'll never beat that record.
No. Because that was the perfect blend of what they were doing. Like you said,
everything about that was a good record.
Yeah. And I didn't realize how heavy some of the parts were. Yeah. Like, especially listening to some of their later records that are much more rock and roll. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, there were some like heavy parts, and they took a lot from hardcore, where they would do like chugs where the kick drum was hitting with every chug and stuff like that, and really emphasizing stuff like that. And I'm just like, wow, I forgot like how actually hardcore based a lot of these riffs were. Yeah, that band came a lot of time when, like, you know, emo was still a thing. They had the look for that. They still kind of played music kind of like that, but they had elements of so much other stuff. They called themselves prog. I would say that I think it was fitting. The voice didn't do it for everybody, but for a younger person, you're the same age as me, so you remember when this stuff came out, like when it was popular. And like, I remember hearing like Devil in Jersey City and stuff. That is a good record too, with Time Consumer. But that band was cool. Now, after a while, I fell off the train. I was lucky about 10 years ago. I got to see them open up for Metallica. And I was kind of off the Coheed train at that point, but it was so cool to see them live, and they were awesome live. Yes, they're fantastic.
Their bass player, the same week, within a week of that show, robbed like a CVS or something down the States. And so they got a new bass player like the same week to jump in. I'm like, oh man, I was so happy to see that one.
That's funny.
I think the same, I think it was right after that too. Children of Bodom was coming to town. There was a lot of concerts coming to town at the time. And we've obviously these days know, but Children of Bodom was coming with Obscura. Do you remember Obscura? Tech death band from Germany.
The name sounds familiar, but
Obscura
not anything I ever listened to.
Yeah. They got stuck at the US-Canada border. And it's just like, oh shoot, it's like, that sucks. Because I remember we were out there and they see this guy come out. He's like, everybody need your attention. Everybody's like, no, Bodom's canceled. We're all here. They're like, Obscura will not be playing tonight. And it was with Steve DiGiorgio from Death, I'm pretty sure, at that time too. And it's just like, he's played like every band under the sun. And it's just like, damn. That sucked. I would have loved to seen Obscura. I'm more into Obscura now, I think I was then, but like what was it called? The something Overload was out at the time. It would have been such a cool show, them and Bodom. But Coheed was killer. Man, I think that show was like Seether, Coheed, Metallica, Protest the Hero. It was like one of the biggest shows I ever went to. Like 29,000 people were there. It was nuts. It was like, there was no drinking. Like we weren't drinking. And it was like a hangover the next day. It was just outside. It was cold for July and it rained. I still remember when Coheed came on, the crowd was a little more intense. They were the band before Metallica. I mean, Coheed was like getting like bigger and bigger, like way more mainstream at the time too. I remember when Metallica came on, it's like when they're coming on, it's like crowd is just shoving forward. I still remember at one point, I just like, there's something open. I don't know how. I just got slammed ahead. A friend of mine got a concussion at some point during that show because there was a crowd surfer kicked him in the head.
Nice.
He was waiting for him to come back around. It's like, I see that person come next time. It's like, they're getting pulled down. I'm pulling them right out of the crowd. He was so mad. But man, man, there were some real screwballs when you get those big shows. I find some of the metal shows, like if you get some dickheads at like the more mainstream ones, but different shows attract different people, which is crazy. I don't know. What are you listening to these days?
Dude, it's such a funny question. Podcasts.
Hey,
I just like straight up. It's as somebody who used to love music when I was younger, I hardly ever listen to music. And I hate to say that, but it's true. I find myself really hungry for knowledge on things that I'm interested in. And a lot of the time music just doesn't hold my attention like it used to. I mean, obviously I still love music. I still love to play music. I've always loved to write music more than I've liked to listen to it. If that makes any sense. Like I love the creative process, even though I've never really done anything that was awesome. Until Bushido Code. I think Bushido Code's pretty cool. But
I'd hope you think they're pretty cool.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been in bands where I've been like, yeah, the finished product's all right. Like it could have been better, you know.
Yeah.
But this is a band where I'm like, this is pretty fucking cool. But yeah, so I mean, honestly, I listen to more like folk rock stuff than anything now.
Fair.
I'm that guy for sure. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of Gaslight Anthem, but
they're
really
awesome, dude.
Anthem.
Yeah, they're great. Man, Old Haunts is like one of my favorite songs by that band.
Which one?
Old Haunts.
Dude, Old Haunts is a great song.
That's a great song.
I mean, they're fantastic, and their solo project, his solo project, Brian Fallon. I love all his records. As far as like heavier stuff, I mean, there isn't a lot of newer stuff that I've gotten into. I've been a hardcore guy for pretty much my entire life.
See, I haven't been a hardcore guy.
Yeah, and most people aren't, especially in like the YouTube space. A lot of guys are into like progressive stuff, or they're into death metal, or a combination of the two. And I think that's another thing that helps carve me out a little niche is like I'm playing like leeway riffs and like classic hardcore bands and crossover bands and thrash stuff. And you just don't see that from YouTube guys. A lot of the YouTube guys are into different things. So I'm kind of speaking to that audience that's into heavy music, but just not into that subgenre. You know what I mean? You know,
the one thing that I find is that I had a video where it's like I revisited my Solar guitars after a year, and it's like it did okay. Like people were watching it. I mean, Solar has been a hot topic for reasons I'm not going to get into. Yeah. But I played, I don't know, I forget what I played. I played some Rush riff in the video. I think I just took it from another video. People are like, man, props in the Rush riffs.
Yeah.
People like,
they want things they recognize.
Rush. Yeah, that's the thing. That's on YouTube, like the cover thing. But still, like, if I'm testing things out, I'm not afraid to play cover riffs and all that stuff all the time. And Rush is something that's just, I love that band.
There are very few people who can't at least say Rush is a great band. You know what I mean? There's always going to be the dickhead that's going to try to tear anything down. But yeah, Rush is just one of those universally like loved and appreciated classic bands.
Mostly. Or you get, I don't like the voice, or I like the voice and I've heard the same thing from the same person before. Yeah. And it's just like, make up your mind, please. What do you think? But yeah, that's one of those things. Like, but you're playing those kind of riffs and stuff, and people dig that. But keep, like, maybe a lot of people want to just like play gent or something. I don't play gent. I can't gent.
Yeah, me neither. I've never even tried.
I don't care. I'm not going to buy an 8-string guitar. I play 7s. I do play 7s quite a bit, but and probably not in the same sense that everybody else is playing 7-string either. But in saying that, like, just I think people sometimes too want to just hear maybe what you're doing. I think why Taylor Danley does good is because he's playing more extreme metal. What people complain about, they're like, I want to hear some blues. Or no, hold up. No, I did it wrong. I want to hear some blues on a Gibson.
Yeah, and get a little boomer in there.
But somebody but somebody else is going to be like, hey, finally somebody's doing this in a way I want to hear it. You mentioned Premier Guitar and how they had all the reverb and stuff earlier.
Yeah.
Remember Guitar World? You have some super modern thing. Let's play blues.
Right.
You know, like
let's play a blues lick on this super modern compressed high gain amp.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not going to sound that great.
And that's the thing. Like, that's the awesome thing with YouTube is that somebody like you can come along and actually play it right. Or do it
right
for
its intended purpose, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think Guitar World probably has moved on since then. But I mean, when we were in high school, there wasn't YouTube reviews of videos. It was
No, there wasn't.
YouTube
was barely even a thing at that point.
There was no podcast. I still remember the day Google Video came out. I looked up Buckethead. I remember on the spot. I looked up Buckethead. I thought I was amazed that you could look up a video.
Yeah,
and see this.
Exactly
it was incredible. All right, we're gonna soon end this. So what's next for you?
Just gonna kind of keep plugging away and doing what I'm doing and see where the channel takes me. Walrus has sent me some stuff to demo.
Nice.
Mezabarba is sending me their flagship amps to check out, which is super cool. And really just kind of networking. I'm going to see where the podcast goes. I'm going to try to do that every week. I've got some other cool people lined up that I'm still just kind of amazed that are even willing to take the time to come on the channel. So I'm just going to kind of keep doing what I'm doing and see where it takes me. Essentially, I'm having fun with it and people seem to be enjoying it and relating to it. So as long as that continues, I'm going to keep going on and maybe explore some new ideas. The plugins, the neural quad cortex, like I'm gonna dig into that stuff a little bit because even though I'm a tube amp guy, I have nothing against the digital stuff at all.
That's good.
I think it all serves a purpose. You know what I mean? There's space in the world for all of it. So there's no reason to hate one or the other. Just figure out which one works best for you, and that's kind of what I'm about. Like you said, you like to do what you want to do. Yeah, I do too. And that's why I started the podcast, but I'm trying to make sure that when I do it, it's something that is going to be useful to the people who are watching it for my channel. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So, I mean, one of the things I like about doing these kind of podcasts is that instead of you just being some guy that's a text or whoever it is that I'm talking to, is that I actually get to interact and it's fun. Yeah. Yeah, it is fun. And I love connecting with people. That's, if you watch any of my older videos and even some recent ones on my FAQ episodes, the best part of the channel is just getting to connect with new people all the time. Exactly. So yeah, I'm with you on that. And I think by the time this video is out, this other one will be already out. Like I said, some of the things I learned, I did a video on not everything I learned, but some of the things I learned about doing YouTube to get to 1,000 subs. And some of that's like, kind of mistakenly comparing yourself to others and seeing all this other stuff. But one of the things that I like the best about doing this is the community. Like I said, some people are toxic in places along the line. But you know what? Most of the people I've met have been really cool. Yeah. You know, like 100%. And like I've met people through a lot of it through Discords and stuff. But man, I've met like people that I consider friends and stuff now. Like I was just talking to them before we did this. And that's one of the best things about doing this is the connections you make. People that you would never have realized that even existed if you weren't doing this, and opportunities. You wouldn't be wearing that Rev hat right now if you didn't do this. 100%. No. Yeah. And I talk to Derek somewhat frequently. And that's really cool. Talk to people from these big companies who it's still cool. Like Fluff and I talk on a somewhat daily basis. That's like super cool. Text back and and it's like, dude, I grew up watching your channel. You were the first YouTube channel. I tried not to fanboy too hard, but I just straight up told him, I'm like, hey, you were the first YouTube channel I latched onto. So it's pretty cool for you
take the time to acknowledge my channel, and now we talk all the time. So
I've learned not to fanboy too much. I don't know if I've ever really met anybody that I really, really, really looked up to. There's people that I respect, and I think it's super cool to get to talk to them.
Yeah.
But if I was to meet, like, I don't know, Steve Vai, it would be really tough to not tell him how one of his songs just like instantly changed how I was playing guitar, or wanted to. Yeah. Like, it'd be really hard. Like, I don't like simping that much. But
no, but here's
sometimes
the thing.
You're just like, man, I like this guy a lot, you know?
Yeah. There's a way to do it. And it's not, you know, go to somebody and be like, you're so great, I love you so much. It's, how did you change their life? I think is the best way.
Yeah.
Dude, you know, you generated so much interest in gear for me. You helped me out with this and that. And, you know, I appreciate what you do.
Yeah.
That, I don't think anybody can get mad if you're fanboying like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I think it's just, I mean, we're both a little older now too, and maybe have a little more control. But like, if I was younger, oh my God, I'd be fanboying. I'd be like, oh, that's the dumbest questions. Yeah. I mean, I'm still a dumb guy, but you know, that's really cool that Fluff talks to you quite a bit too and stuff. Yeah, I'm lucky in the sense that I have got to talk to some cool people, mostly on the YouTube end of things. But I mean, I've hung out with bands and stuff before, like Dark Tranquility and stuff. And
okay, yeah,
that was an experience. That's a story for another day.
Yeah,
but that was
I know what you
9
mean,
years ago.
To be considered as a peer. With someone that you look up to, no matter what, is always a really cool feeling. That's a really tough thing to get that respect from somebody too. Yep. I'll tell you what is actually nerve-wracking. We're just babbling on at this point. I had a feeling this would happen because you're like me. You talk a lot. I like to talk, and I think we have like endless things we could probably talk about. I'm sure.
But the hard thing is like, when you have something, you're like, I think I'd feel like a nobody even if I had like 100,000 subscribers. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm just used to the nobody lifestyle. It's weird because there's still people that will look up to me too, or be like, hey, oh man, whatever. I mean, happened to me on the street the other day, which, I mean, the guy who knows who I am, but you know, it's when you do a song or something and you're gonna send it to somebody. It's like, you're sending it to them and you're like, can you mix this? Like when I was sending my song Distant to Jamie Slays, I was like, I had a bit of a connection with him already. I was like, Jamie, we had talked before, and I was like, do you know anybody who can mix? And nobody talked to me for a day. I thought, I mean, he's a great guitar player. And I was like, yeah, they're going to call me fucking noob. They're going to be like, yeah, whatever. Right. And it was like, I'm like, yeah, this mix sucks. And if somebody told me your mix is absolute crap, I would 100%, I'd accept it. I just expect it. And it's just like, I remember he just goes, are you high? This sounds good. And there's just a group chat there. And he's like, is that you? I'm like, yeah, that's me. It's like, no faking it. That's 100% me. It sucks when you like put a lot of time into things and you're like, you're worried that people are going to hate it. But then people are like, no, this is really good. It's just hard to get it out there. But it's always that daunting feeling of like, whatever. I mean, I'm not a perfect guitar player, man, like by any stretch. And sometimes it's like, I guarantee you, I'm not always the person for the job.
Yeah.
But other days, you know, you are the person for the job.
I think it's just putting yourself out there in general is the toughest part. You know what I mean? It's a vulnerability thing.
Yep.
That's why a lot of people don't do the YouTube thing either. There's probably somebody that could come along and grow at 3 times the rate that I have because they've got better chops, they've got a better personality, you know, but they just never take the time to start because they're afraid to put themselves out there.
Yeah.
You know?
And some people say, oh, my accent and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, just do it anyway. Who cares?
Yeah. Why would you worry about your accent?
Who cares? People tell me my accent's screwed up sometimes. It's like, man, dude, you got a funny accent. Where are you from?
Yeah.
They don't recognize it. They don't know because they're not used to voices from here outside of the show Trailer Park Boys.
Right.
You know,
dude, I gotta say, you sound like you're from the exact same fucking region that those guys are from.
So you watch that show? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, dude. I used to watch it all the time. Yeah.
Fucking a toe so Julian.
Who's playing the piano?
No. Oh man. He got so many good ones. Man, it's
Rickyisms,
like
dude.
Yeah.
There's
Not rocket
Facebook page.
Not rocket appliances. John Dunsworth, Jim Leahy came to my high school. I got detention for going to see him talk to us about getting jobs. He actually came to our school to talk to us about career paths.
That's awesome.
He was such a cool guy, and he dressed up as Mr. Leahy when he did it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, Trailer Park Boys is just, I don't know, man. That show will live in my head rent free. I don't care for the newer ones as much, but the original run was amazing.
Yeah, it really was. It brings me back to a certain time in my life where it was just, things weren't good, but I remember good things like sitting on the couch and watching Trailer Park Boys I lived with a friend at the time, and we were both big gamers at the time. So we had 2 massive flat screen TVs when they were still a new thing, and 2 couches in our living room. And we would literally have Trailer Park Boys going on both TVs at the same time. Man. Like have it synced up, and it was just fun memories.
So that was such a good show. I've been to Julian's bar. It was called Sniggly Wiggly's. We went to see a cover show. Going in and find a friend of mine, and I was like, "Oh, there he is." Going, he goes, "See Julian?" I'm like, "I'm not looking for Julian. I'm looking for you." Anyway, he was there, but I've never talked to him. I did talk to Lucy once. She was at the first show big show I ever went to, which was Ozzy Osbourne. I was right above VIP, and she had VIP.
Nice.
And we're like, yeah, she was super nice to talk to, man. Like,
I've heard that about them. Like, people say that they used to sit and go to a local bar and just like be in character and like hang out with people.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
And stuff. But such a great show. The Rush episode's amazing, by the way.
Yes, where they meet.
It's like
gets to play. And,
it's like, but what I do give a fuck about is recycling. It's like when Alex likes to tell you to put on a shirt, you wear it. Man, that episode. Oh, here's the best Rickyism from that. Before we end it, play that Diane Sawyer song.
Oh my God. I don't even, honestly, there's so many. I don't remember that one.
I can't remember all of them, but okay.
So many good ones.
We have made it to the end of this. I had a lot of fun doing this, dude.
Yeah, me too, man. Thanks again for having me on.
Hey, thanks for actually doing this. This was killer. Guys, if you haven't checked out Kyle Bull yet and you want to look at tube amps and whatever, plays good guitar better than he says he does. Go sub to his channel. Go check him out. I mean, he got that Rev hat for a reason, because he does a good job. Rev gave him the hat. He literally got paid in a hat.
Yeah, this is my reward.
Yeah, I got a hat. I mean, he could pawn the hat and maybe get like some shake and bake or something. But and then you have to get the chicken
from the video is enough.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, chicken might be on sale down at the Walmart or something. But Anyway, guys, if you haven't checked him out, do that. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you do that and click that like button, the notification bell. And we will see you all.
Bro.
Yeah. I mean, what the hell are you doing? But make sure you hit that like button, though. Anyway, you guys have an awesome day. And thanks again, Kyle. And we'll see you all next time. Peace.
Thank you, man. We'll see you guys.